All right, so now we have to.
My bad, bro.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Car Studio, and in today's video we are going to be working on a brand new 2022 Tesla Model Y Performance. And these cars are known to ride really rough due to the suspension, as well as they have 21-inch wheels factory with, you know, a low profile tire. And when my friend pulled this in, I was surprised at the stretch that came from the factory. It's kind of crazy that they put a tire on it that's that narrow that has that much stretch, you know, on a factory wheel. So in today's video we are going to be installing coilovers, and he also has some meaty tires on these 19-inch wheels, and he has brand new coilovers as well. What are these?
Hey, what's up, man? These are the Mountain Pass coilovers with the rear camber arms. So it can help get my alignment when we go a little lower.
I probably should have introduced him first. This is my buddy Zach, and this is his Model Y he ordered, what, a few months ago?
Yep, picked it up in late March.
And guys, I rode in it for the first time a couple weeks ago, and it is ridiculous. The thing is an absolute rocket. If you haven't ridden in a, is that right, ridden? Or rode? Is it rode or ridden?
English is my second language. Let me Google.
If you haven't experienced an electric car yet, I advise you to do so, especially if you're a skeptic, because it is like nothing else. Imagine you have, you know, a 600 horsepower NA gas motor, and you know, when I say NA, it's like the power is always there as soon as you hit the throttle. Imagine 100 times that with an electric car. Like the power, all the torque is there immediately as soon as you hit that throttle pedal, which is basically an on-off switch. He launched it and I actually felt it in my stomach, like the sensation you get on a roller coaster. But I'm going to stop hyping his car up too much, and we're going to get right into this and installing these coilovers.
There's a fifth one somewhere.
Under the tow hook, maybe. No.
And then the guy in the video just starts pulling this up right here.
I heard Teslas were made cheap.
Yeah,
no, I'm just joking.
No, they are really.
I heard by a detail guy that there are some parts that are cheap.
Bro, it is really cheap. Alright, dude, that wasn't even 5 minutes.
Can you see everything I'm doing down here?
Yeah.
Alright, so first of all, I just want to point out how awesome this looks with the red, huge caliper on it, big rotors. This is like super easy to do, guys. The front is anyway. So all you're going to need is a 15 millimeter for the is that right? Yeah. So all you're going to need is a 14 millimeter for the upper ball joint, and then you need an 18 millimeter for the sway bar end link right here, and the bottom of the strut is a 21 millimeter, same as your lug nuts, and then you're going to want to support this with a jack before you push that bolt out of the bottom of the strut. And then up top here, you have to take out this one and this one, and we still need to, we got to get a 10 millimeter and remove this cover, but there's 4 bolts right here, and you have to remove the whole upper casting, you know, that the control arm's bolted to, You do not want to take out these 3 top nuts like you would on a normal car. The control arm gets in the way and you can't get the strut out of there. So we're just going to take the whole bracket, upper control arm bracket and everything out together as an assembly, then put the coil spring compressor on it, and then get the top hat off to put on the new struts, or the new coilovers. Oh, you're also going to need a T50 Torx. There's not much pressure on it, but just to hold that bolt from spinning on the upper ball joint. It's so easy working on new cars, and surprisingly it just pops out like that. Fly that back in here so we know where it goes. And hey, will you give me those yellow pliers over there? You're gonna want to take this either ABS sensor, ABS sensor off. So these clips just very lightly slide out really easily. You don't have to unplug anything. Just I didn't break any of them, surprisingly. So, and then there's one more up here attached to the bracket. You're gonna want it out of your way. So we've got all that out. Now I'm gonna put my 18mm on and take the sway bar end link off, which I'm probably not gonna be able to get it out because I don't have a jack right now, and I'm waiting on a coil spring compressor to get the other side out. Okay, so that's 18mm on the sway bar end link. That's out of there, and let's see, pretty much at a standstill until I get the coil spring compressor. We'll probably have to come back to this side, but when we get back, we will unbolt that bottom strut right there with this supported by the jack, and then we'll take the top out and slide it all out. Super easy. All right, so now we have to
My bad, bro.
so now we have to compress the coil spring. This is something that you don't normally have to do on a regular vehicle, but this can be rented at pretty much any auto parts store for a $50 deposit, and you get it back. But make sure that you do it this way and don't just zip the nut off the top hat and end up killing someone. But I guess you have to use a top hat, the factory top hat on the aftermarket coilover. And this is the bracket I was talking about that comes out with the upper control arm all assembled. Do not take these 3 nuts off and try to avoid, save time by removing this, because this upper control arm gets in the way. So now we are I'm going to cinch this down just a little bit more, make sure we got all the pressure off that top hat, and then we'll remove the top hat and start installing the coilover. People in the comments, I know I'm using an impact on a coil spring compressor, but it's all right. I feel like that's enough. You think that's enough? I've laid these on the ground before and just like wrenched on them and just y'all sure that there's no pressure on it? This is so sketchy. Even though like we're doing it the right way, it's still scary.
Are you sure? It's like, no, we're just ducking behind this car for fun.
I'm pretty sure it's good. As much pressure as we took off of it, like, it's not gonna be that bad. I think the whole shaft's moving now.
3 hours later.
So now we're gonna set the rebound on this. You can use a 2.5mm Allen wrench, or it should have came with this little knob. Just slide this down in there. So we went 10 clicks from stiff, so I rotated it all the way clockwise, and then I counted 10 clicks back from clockwise, and that should be a happy medium. And while these are in the car, you can always slide these back in there and make adjustments. You don't have to jack it up or take anything apart, except for the trunk liner. Yeah. Okay, so now we're going to adjust the front compression. I've got it again all the way clockwise. It's fully stiff, and I'm going to count back 12 clicks counterclockwise from that. So 1, 2, 3. These are very audible clicks. Bring it in here so you can hear it. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's kind of like very pleasing sound. What's that called? ASMR? What does that stand for? You know? ASMR. You know they make those TikToks like ASMR bathtub cleaning.
Sounds. Yeah, I don't know.
Amazingly soothing music remedy.
Oh wow.
That's it.
Should come out with a playlist for us.
These videos are so much more fun with people around. When I'm by myself, I can't tell jokes, or like, I'm like, I feel awkward, you know? But now I'm in my natural element right now with my boys. Oh shit, what am I doing? There it is, okay. I'll spin that around. All right, guys, fully assembled, ready to bolt back in the car. Now you can't post this picture until I get part of this video. I'll do that. Oh. All right, guys, we got the passenger side all assembled. And I went ahead, since I got the driver's side dialed in, went ahead and adjusted the passenger side. And once the car's done, you'll see the ride height, and we'll go over the wheel and tire size. But basically, if you want a guideline of about where your car will sit with these, we adjusted this from the bottom of the spanner nut to the top of the sway bar bracket, the sway bar inlink bracket. And we've got 2 1/4 inches. So 2 1/4 inches from the bottom of the spanner nut to the top of the sway bar inlink bracket. And that was our starting point, and that's he stood back and looked at it, and that's about where he wants the car to sit. So towards the end of this video, you'll get to see it all the way on the ground and see if that's where you would like yours to sit. Side's done.
You need the tape measure?
I adjusted it on the bench over there. Right, he's really not gonna believe that we did anything we said we did.
Oh, you already measured it. No. Yeah. I thought this is the part where you did that.
I just did it on the bench.
You gotta.
All right, you wanna grab me your wheel, sir? Go ahead and take that jack out of the way.
Like stay for a day, and then I'll come tomorrow if it's 2 more hours.
Can't guarantee they won't be on Facebook Marketplace. All right, now we're moving on to the rear, and there are no write-ups on how to take this interior part. So you're seeing it first, guys. If you're putting coilovers on your Model Y, this is probably one of the only videos out, if the only. So if we tear something up, it's on us. You know not to do it. And there it is. Super easy. I'm really impressed with how easy these are to work on. Honestly, I don't think you have to do any of this. I don't see the top of the shock anywhere. So I think you got to remove the inner fender liner, and then there's a bracket inside the fender well to do it. I should have investigated that a little bit more, but this was all easy, nothing broke. We can snap it back together very easily. So I'm gonna take the inner fender liner out now after I remove the wheel, and then we'll be able to get to everything. Okay, after my screw up there, we found the top of the shock, and you don't even have to take all of the fender liner out. Sorry, I know the lighting's poor in here. Let me get some light. Okay, so basically all you need to remove are 1, 2, 3 clips, maybe 4. We took one up here too. But you remove that, and then you can actually get to 2, it looks like maybe 18mm bolts. I'll let you know in a minute, but we're gonna remove those. And we've got a jack here to keep some pressure on the suspension. And then we need to remove, looks like, yeah, there's these little cap. Oh, okay, so this is like a spring skid plate right here. And there's, feels like a couple 10mm bolts underneath here. So once we remove that, then we'll be able to get the lower shock bolt out. We'll get the shock out of the way. And then I would say we can probably lower the suspension enough to get that factory coil spring out of there. The rear is going to be super easy. I'm looking forward to it compared to the front. So let's get to it. So back there, if you can see it, that's the 10mm that you have to take out to remove. This. This is just a little skid plate on the lower control arm. But you take that 10mm out, you can see the hole for it. It goes from the bottom up, and then it literally just falls right out. It's just got like 2 little tabs that slide up in there. So that's removed. We've got our 2, honestly I didn't look to see what size they were. I think they were 15mm. Yeah, so 2 15mm bolts for the top of the shock. And now we're going to remove the 21mm out of the bottom shock bolt. The shock will be out of the way, and we can lower the suspension down, get that coil spring out of there. That's a good sound. I got kind of worried when I was taking these 15mm bolts out because they were just like, they just kept spinning. And for a second I was afraid that there was a nut up on the inside and I had to take the interior back apart, but it's just got these little keepers that keep them from falling out. Pretty neat, so you don't lose them. And then you pop this rubber off, and there's our nut. So this is the top hat for the rear shock. And super easy. The rear's way easier than the front.
Oh wow.
So you have to remove the lower control arm bolt. It's only a 21mm. We used a jack, of course, on the lower control arm to keep pressure on the coil spring while we did that, and it slid right out. Then we just lower the jack down nice and easy, and it's out now. Okay, so here's the assembled rear coil spring. We used this rubber spring isolator off the OEM spring and then put it on the bottom of this one. Looks like that. And then the top, you just put your spring adjuster right here. And we did 1/4 of an inch between the spring perch and the adjuster. So just a 1/4 inch gap in between there. A little less than my pinky right there. And then bring it over here. I need to look and see. Okay, so these go like this. No. Okay, so you can see the indentation on the lower control arm. You probably can't see it here, but see the bottom of the spring here? You're gonna just line that up, and it's got 2 like rubber dowel pins that will go into the lower control arm in the place it needs to be. He's obviously gonna get alignment when we're done with this, and we're not going that low with it. So what I'm gonna do for the camber adjustment, if you guys buy these, it actually looks right where it needs to be. That's literally exactly like that. So I guess they ship them the factory length. So I'm going to go ahead and just install it the way it is. You know, the alignment shop can dial it in. This car is so easy to work on. It's literally like working on a Honda Civic or like a Toyota Camry. So this is very straightforward. We are just swapping out the top hat here. The factory nut size for the top here was 17 millimeter. So just now I set the compression down here. I turned it all the way until it stopped on stiff and then counted back 10 clicks, which if the shock is like this, I was rotating it clockwise. And then for the rebound, we did the same, all the way stiff, and then we did 8 clicks back. So that's a setup he's found on the internet forums that seems to ride pretty good for daily driving. So now the shock's ready to install. We're almost done with this side of the rear. All right guys, here is a final shot of the rear suspension all set up. We got our new shock absorber, we got our camber adjustment, we got our coil spring installed with the adjustable spring perch. Just to recap how we did this, I just removed a few clips right here. I need to install that one over there still, but removed enough of the fender liner here that you can get to 2 15 millimeter bolts up there, and then you've got a 21 millimeter bolt at the bottom of the shock, and then a 21 millimeter bolt on the lower control arm, and then with that you can lower the jack down and get the stock coil spring out. Again, we replaced these with camber arms. This is extra, it didn't come in this kit, and those are all 21 millimeters as well. And you know, the top spring perch for the shock, or the top hat for the shock, we use the factory one. It's a 17 millimeter for the OEM and also the aftermarket top hat bolt. Make sure you use the aftermarket nuts. Don't do what I did, because I basically rethreaded it into a coarse thread. But yeah, that's it. The rear is super easy, and we're going to set it on the ground after we get this wheel on and see if we need to make more adjustment on that coil spring. Alright guys, this thing is all back together. It is on the ground. What do you think, Zach?
Man, it looks awesome. I wasn't expecting it to look like this. It just looks really sleek. It looks clean.
So tomorrow, it is 15 after 1 in the morning, and obviously it's dark. So tomorrow we'll get this thing out and get some better shots of it and show you before and after. It has a perfect stance. It looks very aggressive. He's got some meaty tires on here. It's got a slight rake to it. I think it turned out awesome. So here's what it looks like in the garage. Tomorrow we'll take it out and show you guys the inside of the car and take it for a spin and do some walk arounds of it. But really, it looks, I think this is the perfect stance for something like this. He's got it wrapped in a satin wrap. He got the wheels powder coated to match. These are Tesla Genesis wheels.
Gemini.
Genesis. It's a Tesla Genesis. Tesla Gemini. I'm still new to these Teslas. Dude, look at the focus on this guy.
Dude, it's
You
crazy.
gotta hold on tight, don't you?
Yeah, it really puts you back in your seat. It never gets old.
Alright guys, we're back. It's a new day and the Tesla coilover and wheel install is done, and check this thing out. It looks amazing. My buddy told me just now this might be the only Tesla Model Y in the world that has a 265 tire on it. And the reason that is so important on these is the ride quality is not the greatest from the factory. So we have these big meaty tires now, and it helped with the ride quality so well. So we just took it for a drive, and of course it just pins you into the seat. And around turns, it has like no body roll. It's what, 4,800 pounds?
I think so, yeah.
4,800 pound vehicle, and it handles like a sports car now. And but you know, the ride quality is not so stiff that it's uncomfortable. I mean, it honestly felt like a factory ride quality to me, or in this case, better than factory. So again, his setup is Mountain Pass Performance Comfort coilovers, and the wheels are actually factory Tesla Gemini 19 by 9.5, and his tires are Michelin Pilot Sport SUVs. They are 265/50 19s, and I think it's the perfect setup for this vehicle. It still has that aggressive, rugged look while getting rid of the huge fender gap it had with those low profile tires on 21s. I just completely transformed the look of this car. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Zach, thank you so much for allowing me to work on your car and letting me ride in it and film this video. Hopefully it helps you guys if you're on the fence about buying a Model Y or modifying it. It really was no different than any other vehicle. The coilover install, the only thing that was a little bit different is having to compress the front coil springs in order to use the factory top hat. Other than that, everything was straightforward. The rear was super easy, and the results were, you know, a huge difference. So I highly recommend a Model Y, and I also recommend Mountain Pass coilovers.
Man, just want to say thanks to Yusuf. He really took the time to really get these dialed in right. It's been an awesome experience. Really transformed the way the car drives and looks. So really appreciate the time, man.
Anytime, brother. And also, he paid me in lamb chops, so I did this job for lamb chops, and I'm 100% okay with that. If you guys need any work done to your vehicles, just bring me a rack of lamb. So that's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you're not already subscribed, subscribe, and plenty more cool stuff coming.